Tonight, Hollywood's golden couple, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, are once again at the center of controversy, and this time, it looks like Blake may have sabotaged her own case. Here's what really went down. In her latest courtroom maneuver, Blake filed a 30-page motion demanding millions of dollars in punitive damages from Justin Baldoni and Wayfair. This isn't her first attempt. By now, she and her legal team have filed 6 motions, each seemingly designed to squeeze money from Baldoni while trying to silence his side of the story. But this time, her strategy may have backfired spectacularly. Instead of submitting substantive new evidence, Blake introduced a bizarre redacted declaration from an anonymous witness. The statement claims that Baldoni was verbally abusive on an unnamed set, yet provides no details, no context, and no project specifics. Virtually everything is blacked out. In court, this type of evidence is known as propensity evidence, attempts to drag up unrelated claims to make someone appear guilty. Federal judges routinely reject it because it's irrelevant, prejudicial, and fails to prove anything meaningful. So, why would Blake include it? The answer seems obvious: publicity. Almost immediately after the motion was filed, TMZ ran a headline proclaiming, "Blake Lively, new witness claims verbal abuse," by Justin Baldoni. Classic PR maneuver. Blake's team used the court system not to strengthen her case, but to manufacture a headline, smear Baldoni's reputation, and dominate the narrative. Meanwhile, Baldoni has remained silent, opting for dignity over drama. Wayfair hasn't joined the media circus. But Blake? She's leaking, spinning, and grasping at straws, and in doing so, she's showing that her case isn't just weak. It might be collapsing. Let's examine this so-called anonymous witness. Blake's big reveal was a declaration almost entirely blacked out, with no name, no project, and no concrete details, just a vague assertion that Baldoni was verbally abusive and that the mystery person supposedly didn't want him on set. In real courtrooms, this is meaningless. Judges require facts, names, dates, specific events. Shadowy, heavily redacted claims do not meet that standard. And here's the twist. Almost immediately after the filing, TMZ ran its exclusive headline, shifting attention from Blake's flimsy motion to Baldoni being accused of verbal abuse. That's not coincidence. That's a PR stunt. The goal wasn't to win in court. It was to manipulate public perception, create gossip, and paint Baldoni as a villain. Yet when you look closely, the substance is non-existent. No witness is coming forward openly. No one is willing to attach their name. Just smoke and mirrors. Legally, this is almost guaranteed to be tossed out. Under federal rules, prior bad acts cannot be introduced merely to show a person is bad, because it confuses juries and wastes court time. Blake's declaration is nearly certain to be inadmissible, meaning the courtroom impact is minimal, while the PR fallout may end up exposing her case's fragility even further. Blake Lively doesn't care if her latest filings get thrown out. She already achieved her goal, a splashy TMZ headline portraying Justin Baldoni as abusive. It's manipulative, calculated, and perfectly demonstrates how far she's willing to go to tarnish his image outside the courtroom. Meanwhile, Baldoni remains silent. No leaks, no spin, just patience. That quiet confidence is making Blake look increasingly desperate. If there's one thing this scandal exposes, it's the stark difference in strategy between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. On one side, Baldoni is silent, measured, and letting the courts handle the facts. On the other, Blake is leaking redacted documents, feeding TMZ exclusives, and spinning every filing into a headline. The irony is undeniable. The more Blake talks, the worse she looks. Strong cases don't need media stunts. If her evidence were rock solid, she wouldn't need anonymous witnesses or recycled, previously dismissed quotes. The facts would speak for themselves. Instead, Blake is shouting over the silence, desperate to control a narrative she's already losing. Justin, meanwhile, is doing the smartest thing possible, staying quiet. He's not giving TMZ sound bites. He's not fighting in the court of public opinion. He's fighting where it matters, in the courtroom, where evidence counts and gossip dies. That silence conveys confidence, control, and authority, making Blake's frantic outbursts look even more desperate. Even Wayfair has exercised restraint, issuing almost no public statements despite being dragged repeatedly through Blake's filings. They don't need to play her game, because the judge isn't swayed by PR spin. At this point, it's almost as if Blake is digging her own hole. Every leak, every redacted document, every TMZ headline screams desperation. While she attempts to smear Baldoni, she is only exposing how fragile her case has become. In Hollywood, silence is power, and right now, Baldoni's silence is strengthening him, while Blake's noise erodes her credibility. The latest courtroom twist is almost laughable. Blake is now claiming that the very fact Justin Baldoni and Wayfair filed a countersuit against her constitutes retaliation. In her world, defending yourself in court is equivalent to punishing her for speaking out. But legally, this doesn't hold up. Filing a lawsuit is a constitutional right. Everyone has the right to defend themselves against accusations. Baldoni and Wayfair aren't trying to silence Blake. They are simply responding to her relentless motions, sanctions requests, and attempts to extract money. That's how the legal system works. Even the judge has emphasized this. A lawsuit must be directly tied to punishing someone for protected activity, such as reporting harassment. But Blake's arguments keep shifting. Her claims have evolved from alleging a smear campaign to accusing 107 content creators of trying to destroy her. Now she asserts that the countersuit itself is evidence of retaliation. It's a moving target that reeks of desperation. What this really shows is that Blake is losing control of the narrative. Every time her case weakens, she changes the story, but the facts remain constant. Baldoni and Wayfair are defending themselves calmly and professionally, while Blake runs to the press with dramatic headlines and shadowy witnesses. Her latest claim that being sued is retaliation is not only weak, it's dangerous. It exposes her attempts to weaponize the courts rather than seek justice. At this point, it's not Justin Baldoni who appears aggressive. It's Blake. And her strategy is collapsing in plain sight, proving that her courtroom theatrics are backfiring spectacularly. Under the glare of headlines and PR spin, Blake Lively's case against Justin Baldoni is collapsing under the weight of its own flimsy claims. Let's break it down. First, there's the so-called anonymous declaration. Entire paragraphs are blacked out. No names, no dates, no project, just vague assertions of verbal abuse by Baldoni. In federal court, this is almost certain to be thrown out.
Why?
Under Rule 404(b), prior bad acts cannot be introduced simply to prove someone's bad character. That's called propensity evidence, and judges strongly dislike it. If it isn't directly tied to the allegations at hand, it's irrelevant, confusing, and prejudicial. In plain terms, it won't be allowed. Next, there's the Steve Sawitz quote about spending $100 million. The judge has already ruled that this doesn't prove a conspiracy. At best, it shows a billionaire willing to defend his company. That's business, not harassment. And then there's Blake's argument that the countersuit itself constitutes retaliation. Legally, that's a non-starter. Everyone has the right to defend themselves in court. Judges understand this. Lawyers understand this. And deep down, Blake knows this. Dude, so why keep filing motions filled with weak evidence and recycled arguments? Because this isn't about the courtroom anymore. It's about the headlines. Blake is fighting this case in the media, not in front of a judge. Every TMZ story featuring her filings gives her exactly what she wants. Justin Baldoni's name paired with the word abuse. But in the courtroom, those headlines are irrelevant. The law doesn't care about clickbait. And that's where Blake's entire strategy falls apart. The scandal exposes a stark contrast in strategy between Baldoni and Lively. On one side, Baldoni remains silent, measured, and allows the courts to handle the facts. On the other, Blake leaks redacted documents, feeds TMZ exclusives, and spins every filing into a headline. And here's the irony. The more she talks, the worse she appears. Strong cases don't need media stunts. If her evidence were solid, she wouldn't have to invent anonymous witnesses or recycle previously dismissed quotes. The facts would speak for themselves. Instead, Blake is shouting over the silence, desperately trying to control a narrative she's already losing. Meanwhile, Justin is doing the smartest thing possible, staying quiet. No headlines, no TMZ soundbites, no battles in the court of public opinion. He's fighting where it matters, in the courtroom, where evidence counts and gossip dies. That silence sends a message: confidence, control, and professionalism, making Blake's frantic actions look even more desperate. Even Wayfair has shown restraint, issuing virtually no public statements despite being dragged through Blake's filings multiple times. They know the judge isn't swayed by PR spin. At this point, Blake is practically digging her own hole. Every leak, every redacted document, every TMZ headline screams desperation. While she tries to smear Baldoni, she's exposing the weakness of her own case. In Hollywood, silence is power, and Baldoni's silence is strengthening him. While Blake's noise is eroding her credibility, the pattern is impossible to ignore. Every one of Blake's filings follows the same formula: recycle old arguments, add a vague anonymous twist, then rush the story to the press. It's less about building a case and more about building a headline. Her latest stunt, the redacted declaration, the dismissed Sawit's quote, and the empty retaliation claim, wasn't meant to win in court. Within hours, TMZ ran the story. Blake Lively, new witness, accuses Justin Baldoni of verbal abuse. That's all Blake wanted: a manufactured win in the tabloids. But in court, judges aren't fooled. Blake's approach might dominate headlines, but the courtroom doesn't operate like Instagram. And while the media buzz may give the illusion of power, it only highlights the crumbling foundation of her legal strategy. Her case, in substance, is weak, and every public stunt exposes it further. The truth is, judges aren't fooled by PR campaigns. They don't read TMZ, they read legal briefs. And those briefs reveal a case built on hearsay, recycled accusations, and desperate attempts to turn a weak lawsuit into a media circus. This isn't justice, it's manipulation. Meanwhile, the more Blake Lively leans into the media, the more the public sees through it. Even fans who once hailed her as Hollywood's golden girl are beginning to question her motives. Why so many motions? Why so many leaks? Why does her story keep shifting? It doesn't add up. And when a narrative doesn't add up, doubt spreads. The reality is that Blake Lively's case isn't just struggling, it's unraveling in real time. Each new filing exposes fresh gaps. Each TMZ headline makes her look increasingly frantic. And each silence from Justin Baldoni only reinforces his composure and credibility. In the end, Blake may capture media attention, but headlines don't win lawsuits. Facts do. And right now, the facts are stacked against her. After months of motions, redacted declarations, and sensationalized leaks, it's painfully clear: Blake and Ryan Reynolds have turned this legal battle into a circus, and it's backfiring. Every filing, every anonymous witness, every dramatic headline points to the same conclusion: a case built on spin, not substance. Justin Baldoni, in contrast, refuses to play this game. While Blake scrambles for attention, he stands silent, letting the law and the courts do the talking. That quiet isn't weakness, it's strategy. It's controlled, calculated, and proving far more effective than Blake's public theatrics. The more she lashes out, the more desperate she looks. Her claims have shifted repeatedly, from smear campaigns to YouTube creators supposedly out to get her, and now to the argument that the lawsuit itself is retaliation. None of it holds up. None of it persuades the judge. And none of it obscures the truth. Blake is actively sabotaging her own case. Even Ryan Reynolds, once protected by their polished golden couple image, cannot shield her from the consequences of these unraveling filings. Hollywood may have once adored them, but no PR machine can save a crumbling lawsuit. Each motion makes them appear less like victims and more like manipulators attempting to outmaneuver the system. Headlines fade. Court rulings do not. When this is over, it won't be Blake's spin that survives. It will be the judge's decision. And right now, that decision seems firmly leaning against her. So the question remains: do you believe Blake's collapsing narrative, or can you see through the PR smokescreen? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the latest updates as this Hollywood scandal continues to unfold.